In IT customer service, there are three important points that we must always remember, and the first one is primum non nocere. When physicians graduate from medical school, they're taught primum non nocere, which is Latin for first do no harm. And we need to consider the same thing in IT in terms of making a configuration change when we maybe add a line to an access control list on a router or a firewall, or we change a configuration file on a Windows or a Linux server. We need to consider the ramifications of that change, and we need to test it extensively before we throw the switch on it. Now, this may seem obvious, and yet time after time we hear stories about people who make configuration changes or changes in a software or any type of a change, and it downs systems. And so we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. Before we roll out a change in production, we test it in a sandbox. So maybe we set things up in a test lab or in a virtualized environment, but we test it to ensure that it's not going to have any negative ramifications. So the first rule that we've got to remember in IT is primum non nocere, and that is first, do no harm. The second is something that we talked about in another video about the four stakeholders, and that is that we always want to try to achieve a positive outcome for the four stakeholders. Kind of like primum non nocere, think about what we're going to do before we do it, before we throw the switch on it, and make sure that it's not going to adversely, negatively affect the four stakeholders. And to refresh your memory, the four stakeholders again are the customer, the organization, your colleagues, and yourself. The third rule that we want to keep in mind is we want to maintain a sense of authenticity. It's really easy to get into automatic responses or scripted types of responses, and we want to be authentic with our end users. We're talking about providing great customer service, and part of that involves establishing a connection with our customer or end user. Now, it may seem odd to think in terms of establishing a connection with an end user during a 30-second or a 5-minute phone call or an email exchange or a chat session, and yet, when we remember that it's a human being on the other end of the connection, that it's one human to another, that helps us to establish a connection. And one of the paramount rules for establishing a connection with another human is we've got to be authentic, we've got to be real, we've got to be honest. Now, understand that being honest and being authentic does not necessarily mean being rude. In fact, we should never be rude to our brothers and sisters. It's saying what you feel, it's establishing a connection with another human being. And that's what we're trying to do when we're in a tech support situation. Now, you may only have 30 seconds or 5 minutes, you may be on the phone, you may be in a chat session or an email exchange, but we can still establish a connection, and that is by realizing that it's one human to another. There is a human being on the other end of that connection, that email exchange that you're doing, the chat session, or the phone call, and it's a human being who is maybe frustrated or angry about what's going on, and you can relate to how they feel, and so we want to be authentic in our dealings with our brothers and sisters. For more ideas on how to improve communication and customer service skills, bring my one-day IT customer service training seminar on-site to your location for your group, small or large. Visit www.doncrawley.com for the course description and outline. Or pick up a copy of my IT customer service book, The Compassionate Geek: How Engineers, IT Pros, and Other Tech Specialists Can Master Human Relation Skills to Deliver Outstanding Customer Service, available in Kindle and paperback editions through Amazon and other resellers. Once again, here are the three important rules. First is primum non nocere. First, do no harm. Make certain of what we're doing before we throw the switch on it that it's not going to cause problems down the road. The second is that you want to achieve a positive outcome for the four stakeholders. The four stakeholders, again, are the customer, the organization, your colleagues, and yourself. So try to achieve a positive outcome for all four stakeholders. And the third rule is to always be authentic, because people can tell when you're not being authentic, so you might as well be real. I'm Don Crawley. I'll see you next time.